All right, the Federal Reserve just met and they are officially cutting their FFR, the federal funds rate, by a quarter point. So this will bring down the FFR to the first lower level in multiple meetings, and this is in response primarily to the employment data. So the jobs market in the United States, now that we're getting revisions, seems like it is much weaker than previously expected. Now, people were debating, and so was the CME Fed Watch tool, which I definitely recommend you check out, whether it was going to be a quarter point or half a point. Some people thought it was going to be half a point, and you even had Scott Bessent calling for half a point reduction. While the Federal Reserve, they seem to like to err on the side of caution, especially under Jerome Powell, so they've gone with a quarter point reduction, although it is very likely. The meeting hasn't finished. I wanted to get this video out as soon as I can. I will make an update when it comes to this, not the meeting, the press conference hasn't ended. But it is very likely that they will cut again the following meeting and even the next meeting for a total of probably 0.75 of a point reduction. This is significant, and it will affect everything from interest rates on bonds, interest rates on mortgages, although not directly, but through the 10-year Treasury. Remember, the FFR primarily targets short-term borrowing costs, although let's just be honest, it has a ripple effect, and it basically lowers the borrowing cost across the board. So this is good for the federal government because we have a ton of debt which needs to be refinanced. Trump has been calling for them to lower the FFR for a while. I have stood with the Federal Reserve in agreement up until recently. And if you watched this channel before, you know about 2 to 3 months ago, I started to say, hey, it's probably time to cut because we were definitely above R-star, or the neutral rate of interest. If you don't know what that is, I have videos on my channel covering that. Now, this is primarily, like I said, because of jobs data. So not only did we get a massive yearly revision down by 911,000 jobs, and this was Biden's economy, not Trump's economy. This was from April to March. So April 24 to March of 25. So almost entirely Biden's economy, which, remember, was first touted as very strong. It still was a good economy, but it was close to 1 million jobs weaker than previously thought. On top of that, now moving on to Trump's economy, the May, June, and July numbers were revised massively, down by like 250,000 jobs. And then you had the August numbers, which off the top of my head, don't hold me to this, but I think it was 22,000 jobs added. So very weak. And when you look at the fact that we need close to 80,000 jobs per month added just to keep up with population growth, you start to realize that these numbers, even though the number wasn't negative, it is basically negative job growth because you're adding more people into the workforce than you're providing jobs for, which, even though the number was positive, is over the long term going to affect unemployment. So, did the Federal Reserve make the right decision? Yes. Could have they gone for a 0.5% interest rate cut? Probably. But again, remember, the Federal Reserve thinks in totality. So if they have a target of, let's say, they want to lower it by a point, they might do that over 4 meetings, 0.25% each meeting, instead of over 2 meetings at 0.5% or over 1 meeting with an entire point reduction. Okay, those events, 0.5%, happen rarely, and it's usually because the economy is in major trouble. Now, what do I expect to happen? One, I think Trump is going to be happy. But I think Trump, and I haven't looked at his True Social, but if I had to guess, he's going to hammer Jerome Powell anyway, because he's going to say that he should have done a 0.5% reduction, although I think he's going to say finally, something of that nature. We'll have to wait and see. I will provide you, I don't want to make this video way too long for no reason. I just wanted to get the information out there. I will make an update as soon as there's more information. Remember, the press conference is still going on, so I'll make a follow-up video in regards to that. But it is official. The Federal Reserve has cut their FFR by 0.25%. I didn't say this. I usually say it in the beginning. My name's Derek. I got my degree in finance. You don't have to. If this video was informative, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you like personal finance, world economics, and investing, you're in the right place. That's where my formal education is and like a decade of experience. And I love sharing it with you guys. It's difficult to grow here on YouTube, so every subscription means the world to me, and it matters. So please consider subscribing if you found this informative. With that said, I will see you in the update video as well as many other videos to come. Until then, have a great rest of your day.